Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the fourth video in this series on how to stop being weak, how modernity corrodes us, and how to build spiritual character. Today we're going to speak about the idea of needing tradition and the removal of the spiritual dimension. You'll hear a very trendy saying in this day and age, I don't need a sky daddy, as if people who have belief beyond the material world are somehow broken, ignorant people, childlike. But I would say you very much do need a sky daddy. Saying I don't need the sky father is like saying I don't need Mother Earth. You know, they're the yin and yang of nature, of being, if you will, more accurately. And just like Mother Nature provides our physical needs, same with Father Spirit provides the escape beyond which is the material. That's why in initiation literature it's often seen as the journey from boy to man, number one, material to spirit, but also from mother to father. And what that means is that we move away from this self-centered worldview and into something greater. And if we think everything ends with us, we lose the vitality that maintains both us as individuals, but also the tradition. We can see that in simple examples like marriage, for instance. You know, why do people bother getting married in this day and age? And we can see it declining as our tradition and our spirituality wanes. Because, of course, the whole point of marriage originally was the contract is the union of masculine and feminine, but also the order within the society. You know, one man and one woman create stable families, stable societies instead of what we have now, massive imbalances in the dating market where in the end nobody's happy. But more importantly, it takes a man away from the worldly pursuits and engages him in a path of spiritual initiation, which is what properly understood marriage really is. So, when we remove these things, what you find is people just start thinking about themselves, about what they want. Now, that's not because they're bad necessarily, it's because there's nothing else to really consider. Yes, they might think in terms of rational humanism and so on, but as we're finding in the modern Western world, that doesn't tend to complete us. It doesn't give us a strong sense of vitality. I made a video on the main channel the other day saying how, while we can look at the religious people around the world who seemingly fight for their sacred lands and almost shake our heads at them and how these people are willing to kill or die for these causes, it often misses us that these people have very strong traditions too. Think about the Muslims and the Jews. Very strong traditions to this day, especially the Jews, very small group. But they're very, very tight. They have a high in-group preference because their tradition is strong. Same with the Muslims. That's why they're so resurgent in the Western world at the moment. You know, they're really, really expanding. Now, as I've said in other videos, I think there may be some issues there, but the point I'm making here is if you value something in the world, you value your people, you value your tradition, you value your way of life, and that creates stability. The Western world has gone the other way around. We don't need these silly Skyfather ideas. We don't need the sacred. All we need is our own ideas of happiness, and that really depends upon, if you like, our lower nature moods. Things such as pleasure or self-centered seeking. You know, what can we get for myself? And again, that's great on the surface, and it's easy to market to people. Women, cars, money. You know, it's Andrew Tate in a way, and everything else that comes with that. Hollywood and being a great footballer, all that sort of stuff. But the great truth is that this isn't really what completes you. I'm not saying these things are bad, but these things are still worldly. And if we make our world solely about that, bit by bit, like the story of Oscar Wilde's Dorian Gray, the painting in the attic gets uglier and uglier. It's hidden away, and that's like our soul in the West. We're falling away more and more and more. We have no real purpose anymore, anything to really contain our lower desires and also aim towards and become greater and more complete. What this means, again, is that we fall into the idea that our own mind is the be-all and end-all. Human logic, human rationality is all there is. And that's a very poisonous place to be, because we're only one dimension of the true universal wisdom. Yet when we're stuck in our own mind, we get full of all sorts of anxieties and fears and nihilism and resentment towards other people and envy and jealousy. And we have no recourse because we don't know the Father. That's religious language for God or being. So really, when we remove our paths to the transcendent, we don't have escape from ourselves any longer. We believe we are the human side of the human being. Remember, a human wouldn't be much if he wasn't also being. The being aspect is the spiritual dimension of who and what we are. And what I'm saying here is a lot of this is imbued in our great traditions, in our ways of life. These have been figured out over hundreds, if not thousands of years to offer us and our collective a path through which we can understand ourselves, our transcendent nature, but also our societies. If you remove these things, what you do is descend humanity down to the level of the mind and down to the level of the material, which is exactly what's happened in the Western world. Again, that will originally begin with gold, money, potential, freedom from all the supposed chains of the past. But in time, you see everything starts to corrode very, very slowly. I think we're witnessing that in the Western world right now. Life becomes meaningless. There's no point in having children. There's no point in getting married. That's why in the Western world, birth rates have collapsed. What is the point? Well, this is what we need to come back to. That's why we need the Father. And if men are living in this world where, and I did have a friend once who could see everything was collapsing in London. What are we living for? Just to earn money to show off to women? But he realised, well, look, everything looks like it's falling apart, but I may as well ride the decline. Just sleep with lots of women, earn the money for your own enjoyment, for your own pleasure. But the problem is your soul will call out to you. If you're healthy, at least it will. Some people are got quite psychotic in this day and age, and they won't hear their soul, or they can't hear their soul anymore. But for many people, you will realize that you're hit up against something because you're not meeting what you really are. You can't get ultimate pleasure in the world. You have to have a strong sense of transcendent meaning guiding you to fulfill you as a man. And this is why, in our modern era, when we take this away, men just become lowest common denominator. Again, they chase the things of the world, number one, but they have nothing transcendent to help them grow, to give them meaning. And when they face all the darkness of the world, they get lost in all sorts of mental health ailments and emotional maladies. And many of them kill themselves now because they have no recourse. And I believe that a lot of men that do kill themselves in this day and age don't actually want to die. They just want to be out of the psychic cage, if you like, that they're in. That's what they really want. If they could be free from that, they wouldn't want to kill themselves, but they feel they have no choice. They're completely lost. And again, this is why if you remove the spiritual dimension from life, if you remove the tradition, if you remove the symbolic world with that, you haven't enchanted the soul of man anymore. You haven't given him reason for living. There's nothing anymore that he can really amass other than self-centered material things. And again, for a 21-year-old who wants a flash car and listens to Andrew Tate, that's all great. But when it comes to who you really are, the true masculine soul, the love of the Father, what that wants for you is to become part of the great chain of being, to let go of your own ideas of what is, to let go of your own hell, your own pain, and fall into his wisdom. That's manifest in the tradition. And when we align with that, that's where we do find true meaning. But you're not going to find it with the mind or in the material world. Now, it's not to say you can't enjoy material things, but we have to be rooted in the deeper dimension first. I think this is absolutely vital in this day and age where so many men feel that their tradition is worthless, that they feel their spiritual traditions are meaningless. If we can reawaken this, you'll see that many men will start engaging in life once more because they'll realize everything actually does matter. If we can at least do that in our own lives, we do open up a whole new realm of possibilities. It's very much the aim of my group work I'll be holding soon. Do come along to the Substack and check that out. I'll be holding a free call on it. Other than that, please do subscribe to this channel, and thanks for watching.